Hi everyone, I'm Rosy, a special education teacher, accountant, and your favorite financial friend here on Rosy's Financial Adventures. Today, we're going to dive into something that a lot of us don't really talk about, and if we do, we wait till it's way too late, and that's retirement savings. Today, I'm going to break down the key retirement options for teachers, how you get them, how they work, and why you should have more than one for the success of your retirement. I want you to think of these different retirement accounts as puzzle pieces in the puzzle of your retirement. So there are 4 of them, and they are the 401k, which most people are pretty familiar with, the 403b, which you might not know much about, and then I'm using CalSTRS because I'm in California, but think of this as your state's pension for educators, and then Social Security. Not everyone's going to have all 4, but let's go through them. So the first one, like I said, that you're going to be most familiar with is the 401k. And this is what I like to call the private sector option. So most people, if they've worked at a job that's not teaching, and sometimes even as an educator with like charter schools or private schools, you get a 401k. So these are pre-tax dollars, so you do not pay tax on them until you withdraw that money from your retirement account. They are also, if you're lucky, employer matched. I've never been in a program that's not employer matched, but I know there are some. So what that means for you is if you're contributing, say 5%, your employer will also contribute 5% up to whatever their match is. A lot of times it's 8, 10, or 12%. So if your employer matches 12%, if you can financially manage it, should also contribute 12%. So then you're getting that full match, which means you're saving more than you would if you were saving that 12% on your own. So it comes out to being more like 24%. So these are really cool because in a lot of ways, they get your retirement savings for you, but you also get to, in a lot of plans, choose your investments. So if you're really passionate about something, say it's clean energy, you can invest your money in clean energy. And you can choose not to invest in things that don't speak to you. So that's a great benefit that most people don't think of when they think about their 401k. If you've worked outside teaching or you're thinking about changing your career later, a 401k could already be part of your plan or will be in the future. So it's good to keep up about what's going on with them. The next plan is going to be what I like to call the teacher's 401k. They work a lot like a regular 401k, and they are the 403b. And they are designed for educators and people who work for nonprofits. You typically are going to have access to a 403b. If you are working in a district and you have a district pension, you might have a 403b and not even know it. So when I started working at my current district and I got my summer retirement thing that tells you how you're doing, I noticed that I had a 403b listed. And I was like, what is happening here? Turns out that any overages you pay to your pension, they just throw into a 403b for you. So you can have one and not even know it. These are pretty cool because like a 401k, you can pull contributions straight out of your paycheck and put them in there, and your money will grow tax-free. Think of this as your do-it-yourself retirement fund that helps you plan for the future alongside your pension. So let's talk about pensions. Most teachers have a pension. and these are what I like to call your paycheck for life. For us in California, this is the equation that they use to figure out how much we're going to get in our pension. So that's service years. They call it service credits, but it's your years of service, your age when you retire, and your final compensation. For us, this is your highest 3 years of pay. And then when you add that, multiply that all up together, it gets you your monthly member benefit. Typically, for most teachers who are under 50, this is going to be max 80% of your pay. It's different for each pension group, but that's what it is in California. You don't do anything to manage this. This is all done by some service, and when you retire, they just give you a number and that's it. You don't have to do anything. It is just your steady paycheck for life. You cannot outlive this, which is huge. But one thing that I know people don't realize a lot in California is that you do not pay into Social Security. So unless you had a job and you earned all your Social Security credits, with a teacher pension, you do not get Social Security. So your pension is going to be your only guaranteed monthly income. Now, if you're like me and you were something else before you were a teacher, or you plan to have a job after being a teacher, then you might earn enough Social Security credits to get both. But do not count on getting Social Security and your pension if you haven't worked in any industry other than teaching. All right, let's talk about Social Security. Are you going to get it? So the answer to that is yes, no, or maybe. If you worked elsewhere for the 10 years that is required by Social Security, the answer is yeah, you'll get it. If you're a teacher in California and you've never paid into Social Security, then no, you're not going to get it. And if you've worked in Social Security and like a Social Security job and you've paid into it, then yeah, you might get it. And recently they changed the windfall provisions, so you might actually get full Social Security. So this is a complicated question. But if you choose to work in a different industry, it could be something that adds to your retirement savings, which is always good. Let's be honest. It's probably not going to be great if you just have one income stream for retirement. It's probably going to make surviving difficult. It's possible, yes, but it's probably going to be difficult. So you don't want to rely on just one income source to replace your full salary. So your pension, especially in California, you only get 80% at the very maximum. Most people get between 40 to 60% of their salary. That's not enough to live on. So you're going to want to contribute, if you can, to like a 403b, a Roth IRA, or a 401k if possible. The more sources you have of income, the more freedom and peace of mind you're going to have in your retirement. So let's talk about when you should start saving for retirement. I'm going to be real honest with you. I've already told my kids who are still little, one's in high school, but the other one's still in middle school, that they should start saving for retirement as soon as they get their first job. Because one of your best friends for savings is the little guy called compound interest. So starting as young as possible is going to give your money the most amount of time to grow. I know it's really, really hard when we start. You're paying your student loans, you're paying to set up your classroom, you're paying to clear your credential, take those professional developments. There's a lot that comes with starting teaching, but anything that you can save is going to really make a huge difference once you get to retirement age. So when should you start saving? The answer is now. Anything that you can save, $50, $100, $200. If you can save $200 a month for 30 years, it's going to end up being $180,000 plus, especially in a hot market. So compound interest makes small contributions grow into big money. Even if you're not at the beginning of your career, if you're mid-career or even close to retirement, the more money that you can save and the longer you can give it to grow will make a huge impact on what your retirement looks like. But what if you're like me and you have a different problem? You have a lot of small accounts. Say you've worked for several different schools and they have a 403b, you have a couple of small 401ks. What are your options? Well, a lot of people think their options are just to suffer, and they might forget they own them or something happens. But I actually often really recommend rolling them into one account. So there are a lot of different options for this, but it is possible to transfer them all into one account, consolidate it. It's going to make it easier for you to figure out how it's being managed, if it's being managed the way you want it to be managed, and how much money you actually have. The key here is going to be making sure that your money is working for you and you know where it is. So now is my favorite time of day. It's homework time. I want you to look at your retirement with the critical eye. Look at the things we've talked about. Check. Are you eligible for Social Security? If not, how many more years do you need to work? Your Social Security progress report will tell you. So just go to their website, pull it up, and boom, you've got the information. Learn about your district's 403b options. Is this something that you can start contributing to? Can you save at least $50 a month? If you can, do it. And then if you're doing well and you have some extra money, open a Roth IRA. And then if you have old jobs, old 401ks, find them and roll them into something that's going to work for you and that you know where it is. Remember, the key is to make sure that your money is working for you, and the more streams of money you have in retirement, the more freedom you will have, which is always what we want in retirement. So that's it for us today. I want you to remember that you've worked really hard for your retirement, and you deserve to have one that lets you rest, explore, and enjoy your life, not stress about money. So let's build it one smart financial step at a time. I hope you liked this video, and if you have any questions or things that you want me to cover, please drop them in the comments. I will answer as many of your questions as I can, and I look forward to seeing you next time.